China's harsh trade attacks on Australia have surprised politicians around the world. Renowned Chinese economist Cheng Xiaonong provided a unique explanation for Beijing's behaviour. He believes that the Chinese Communist Party's goal is to coerce Australia into abandoning its national defence construction so that the CCP's nuclear submarines can pass through the waters near Australia easily and directly pose a military threat to the United States. Dr. Cheng Xiaonong, based in New Jersey, is an expert on China's politics and economy. He was a policy researcher and aide to the former party leader Zhao Ziyong when Zhao was China's premier. He also served as chief editor of the journal Modern China Studies. In recent months, China imposed heavy tariffs on Australian agricultural products, such as wine and barley, seriously hurting small Australian producers and export markets. Cheng Xiaonong pointed out that when Australia criticised the CCP's human rights issues, the CCP accused Australia of interfering in China's internal affairs. However, when the CCP deters Australia's efforts to strengthen its national defence, it is truly interference in Australia's internal affairs. Yet the CCP arrogantly crushes criticism from other countries on this issue.
How do you explain it? The CCP's external propaganda media, DW News, said it clearly in an editorial. It threatened that a medium-sized country like Australia had better declare its stance obediently. Beijing meant to say, I want to confront the United States. All other countries must side with me, otherwise I'll squash you. What kind of tone is this? This is a hegemonic tone.
The CCP is also making other unusual moves in the Asia-Pacific region. According to various reports, a Chinese Coast Guard vessel stationed itself near the Luconia Shoals in a sea tract north of Borneo that Malaysia considers its maritime exclusive economic zone. As a result, the two countries have been in a state of standoff since late November. According to Chen, behind all these moves, the CCP's real long-term target is the United States. It's just that China doesn't have the ability to go to war with the United States right now.
About 10 years ago, the CCP already formulated a basic policy, calling it, in its own words, a big game of chess. They would use nuclear submarines carrying long-range intercontinental missiles as a means to threaten the United States. Therefore, it is using a series of strategies to reach this goal step by step.
According to Cheng, this big game of chess has a three-step plan. The first step is to transfer the CCP's nuclear submarines from the shallower Bohai Sea and Yellow Sea to Hainan Island and build an underwater nuclear submarine base near Yulin Port in Sanya so as to avoid surveillance by aerial satellites. The second step is to build artificial islands on a large scale in the South China Sea.
The CCP is building islands sealing off the international waters of the South China Sea and turning it into its inland sea. Its purpose is to use the area as deep-sea fortress to hide China's nuclear submarines. That is why it needs to threaten Malaysia, because there is a small island of 80 square miles in Malaysia's ocean territory. The CCP believes that this place can be built into a CCP military base in the future. That is what the CCP has in mind, building a military base at the gate of Malaysia.
The third step is to find a good route for the nuclear submarines to take. According to Cheng's analysis, the CCP only has three routes to choose if it wants to attack the United States from the South China Sea. One is to go northeast and enter the Bashi Strait from the southwest waters of Taiwan. The second is to go southeast through the Philippine Islands to the Sulawesi Sea and into the deep sea area between Indonesia and the Philippines. The third is to set off from the southernmost tip of the South China Sea and head for the southwest, bypassing Kalimantan Island, south to the Java Sea in Indonesia, eastwards into between Australia and Papua Island, and reach the deep waters of the Coral Sea. Cheng also discovered that the Chinese and US navies fought for more than a month in the waters of southwest Taiwan from September to October this year. The US military wanted to study the behavior of China's nuclear submarines and learn how to intercept them when needed. As a result, the CCP had realized that the route in the southwestern waters of Taiwan and the Bashi Strait had been targeted by the United States.
So the CCP is now trying to find other ways. If it goes east or south, it has to deal with Australia. These two waterways will end up either on the north or south side of the Papua New Guinea Islands and will eventually reach Australia's maritime defence zone.
Australia issued the 2020 Defence Strategic Update in July, announcing that it will spend 270 billion Australian dollars to upgrade its national defences in the next 10 years. According to Australian media, the substantial increase in defence spending is to resist the CCP.
Australia specifically added an action item in the Defence Strategic Update, which was to strengthen its undersea surveillance system. This means that they're trying to monitor the CCP's nuclear submarines when they are nearby. This move deeply irritated the CCP. If Australia's plan is gradually implemented, the CCP's attempt to pose military pressure on the United States will fall through. Therefore, the CCP is determined to threaten Australia with an economic blow.
Cheng said that if Australia succumbs to the CCP, we may see an avalanche effect in the entire Southeast Asia. More and more countries will follow suit. Presently, Australia seems to be making preparations to defend national security, and the United States is also taking action. The United States is establishing a new fleet at the intersection of the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Cheng pointed out that the territories the new US fleet covers is precisely the route the CCP's nuclear submarines will go through if they choose the third route, setting off from their deep-sea fortress in the South China Sea and going toward the south. Due to the new restrictions on social media, our channel may be affected. If you'd like to stay tuned to our channel and receive notifications and updates, please provide us with your email by clicking the link below. Thank you for your support.